morning, and another Tuesday morning. See, I'm starting to lose my days here. That's okay though, because hey,
Of course it is.
it's it's life. How are you, Radio Hope, Mike Myers?
Radio Hope, Mike Myers. I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
Did you have as good as you Memorial Day as you thought you'd have?
Uh, hmm. Yeah. It was
Good,
good. Yeah.
good.
Yep.
Dad and I were out in one of the local memorials for honoring this region of Queens. You know, veterans in this part of Queens, and it was cool to see the way they set that all up. And I don't know if they had a ceremony in the morning without anybody there. I just don't know, but it was nice.
Yeah. I'm trying to fix my. I'm checking my auto white balance. Is that a little more normal looking there?
That looks better. Your mic's a little hot though.
My mic is hot.
Just a bit. Now it seems back to normal.
How about? I love it when my wife. Yeah, that is hot. Okay, never mind. I'm sorry. That's just no more innuendos.
Oh, jeez. How was Miles yesterday? About 2 days ago already. Jesus.
You are really.
I had a stomach thing middle of the night, and I think it just threw me off a little bit. But here we are. So.
Oh wow, yeah. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they missed it by a day, and it was they were evaluating them at the time, and it's like, well,
now it was either in your video on Facebook or it was on the live stream. I forget because you're all over the place now. I've really created someone who's platformal.
Platformal. You've created a monster.
I think it was maybe on the video part where you said, someone asked me what day it is, and I'm like, oh boy, he's dealing with those people now.
Yep. Yeah. It was. I went and picked up a couple of dogs at the get. Oh, it was a great Elks function.
Oh yeah, that's right. The Elks Club. I forgot to put a link out. I don't know where exactly to find local Elks clubs. Maybe you would help me with that. I don't know exactly how.
Well, you got enough going on. You don't need any more, Alex. You're a media giant. Man.
Oh well, thank you. That makes me feel better. But I really, I'm just here. I interviewed Kenny Albert, who's the famous play-by-play guy, son of Marv Albert, actually. So that was pretty cool.
Was like this morning, you asked me if I'd heard of the Fisher House. The only Fisher House I know of was Tom Fisher and Paul Fisher, and Tom and Paul, I think both. We went camping down by the river, and they danced naked around the fire.
Well,
it was a long time ago.
Yeah, but I feel like that's a 1960s like folk song or something like.
Oh, dancing naked around the fire.
Well, the way you led that into that. But here, actually, I'm glad you mentioned them. I'm going to talk about them in a bit. But I wanted to keep the conversation going about veterans because I truly believe when Memorial Day is done, we sort of shelve the veterans and say, okay, we'll talk to you in November or July 4th or whatever. We don't ever really say, well, how can we keep helping them after Memorial Day?
You're exactly right. It was neat yesterday to see a veteran. And yet because of everything else that's going on right now, I missed that part of yesterday. And it's, boy, I got to tell you, it's back to really making sure that you prioritize things. And you were the one that reminded me that yesterday, I knew it was Memorial Day, but I didn't really.
You mean there were no veterans at the Elks Club to say thank you to or anything like that? Or?
Well, there was one that somebody else had pointed out, and the way I usually, tell that that's who they are is they're wearing a hat or something. I left my Trump hat at home.
Oh, well, maybe that was good. I don't know. Are the Elks Club friendly toward Trump people, or?
I refuse to answer that question on the grounds that it may turn to incriminate me in a court of elk law later or something. I don't know.
Okay, smart idea. I just figured I'd ask because you never know. But
yeah.
I don't know. I know this. It's a fraternity until you don't agree with something. It being anything, you could be part of a fraternity or part of a brotherhood until you disagree with maybe the general think of the brotherhood, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, and that's a very, very interesting point. Except. Again, and it's we need to agree to disagree and not Did you see that video I posted? This lady that got shouted down that she was in a store and she wasn't wearing a mask, and it was
You
like
mean
this.
in Staten Island or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, in our own borough. Well, Staten Island's pretty hungry to reopen. In fact, they're really writing letters to the governor. They're writing letters to De Blasio to open up Staten Island, and the governor is refusing to do it. So,
Well, it's I was talking to a couple of folks yesterday, and I think we're coming down with some serious symptoms of COVID-19 that don't fit, lack of taste and all the other stuff that they're talking. Well, it's really starting to.
The stories are becoming more and more outrageous. Like, how can you catch this thing through your eye? There's that report. It's like, what are you talking about? But on the Staten Island thing, they have grounds to actually ask for reopening because they meet the metrics like any other region is meeting metrics right now here in New York. And so they think, well, if we're meeting the metrics, we should be open. And I agree with them.
Interesting. Yeah, it just gets a little scary when somebody doesn't agree with where you're coming from. And then, like I said, I feel safer. When I say safer, mentally, I feel better if I just stay at home. It has nothing to do with catching COVID-19. It has to do with catching the flack of Roberta Flack. Flak jacket.
Roberta Flack. It wasn't.
I need a flak jacket.
Wasn't her song Misty or something like that?
I'm not sure. Focus. Come on, Alex. You need to be more like me. You need a laser focus.
But to your point about everything else becoming a symptom, it's like getting ridiculous. It's like, come on. You can't say this is this and then this is. I mean, the way they say it, though, it makes you afraid to move because you could catch it if you just move 1 inch,
Oh, you just reminded me of a song, The Freedom to Move. Great song. I believe a believer has the freedom to move. It's about Christian people and being able to move. We don't have to just sit there like this.
No, we don't. And
more churches need the clap.
I just got that.
I don't know what
But in New York, we have a lot of churches that are very exciting, that are very like worship. They play the worship music. They get people out of their seats. They really do. It's not really sort of a sit down and do this all the time. They have people moving around, which is good.
Yes.
But there are, I'm guessing there are still some traditional churches, maybe even in Boone, maybe that that are very traditional to where it's only hymns and that's it. No rock music, no nothing like that type of stuff.
Well, yeah. And then when you're chastised for maybe having hair that's a little too long, and then it's like, okay, so I'm bald. Now is my hair too short? I mean, I can't live in the middle of this. Alex, I had the coolest, it has to do with what we're talking about. I had the coolest conversation with my eldest son yesterday, and it was about just what we're talking about. I used to be somebody who, and the way he put it, he said, Dad, it's like these two kids, and they both come in, and then one kid says, hey, I like chocolate ice cream. And the other one says, but I like chocolate ice cream better.
Uh-huh.
It's the one up. It's like, no, how about we just like chocolate ice cream? Let's sit down and smoke a bowl. Have a bowl. Sorry.
No, but you still feel that. I mean, and it's interesting you say that because we're in the 21st century, and really, I would think in the times we're in, instead of one-upping, we should really be cohesive in the Lord, within the Lord and believing.
Yes, absolutely. And that's where I think that's where the true fellowship comes in. I mean, how it is. It's so exciting.
Let's put it this way, and I know you're going to love this bit, but we're running out of time to one-up each other. We're running out of time to do that.
Well, we're all as the old saying goes.
Reason why this country is going down the tubes is everybody wants to one-up each other. Pritzker wants to one-up Cuomo. Cuomo wants to one-up de Blasio. De Blasio and everybody wants to one-up Trump. It's like, no, we have to work in this together. Be cohesive. This is a team effort, folks. And I would liken that, again, to the body of Christ. Like, God said, but what if the body was made up of one big nose? You got to have all the various parts. Yeah, we
and
do.
they need to work together. And it's really pretty exciting. I love the analogies.
It is, and it's important. And I think hopefully these conversations inspire people to really just quit the baloney and start really working with people, because I'm seeing on my feed, I could post something and they could still jump at me for something very upbeat or innocent I posted. And by the way, have you still seen the word reopen trigger people? Like, I feel like that term is triggering people to this day. It's kind of strange to me.
Well, it came up yesterday when Laura's brother was here. He's one of those that works at Tyson's, and Laura had said something about reopening, and I forget where specifically the reference was made to who should reopen, and he said, no, I don't think so. You still got people that are you got to keep the 6 foot distance. Look, again, if you pride yourself on keeping the 6 foot distance, good for you. That's wonderful. I don't. I hug lepers. Ooh, I like that. I hug lepers.
I do love that.
I'm a leper.
Well, and he did not keep his distance. Jesus did not keep his distance from any of those afflicted, did he?
No, he didn't. I can't. Did you see who he just touched? He just talked to that woman at the well. Do you know what she's all about? When the boys came back.
Debate we're seeing with regular people. Did you see him hug this person? Did you see him shake the hand of this? Did you see him not wear a mask? It's like, what is this about? I don't.
It is pure
judgy.
Yes, that's what it is. And I am kind of sort of guilty in the same way, because I don't know how many people I saw yesterday driving in the cars by themselves with their masks on. And it's like Laura said, what's going to happen when it gets to be 102 degrees out? My question is, when do you stop wearing your mask to keep you from inflicting or whatever? You know what I'm trying to say.
And again,
infecting
we
others.
have stores that say, if you don't wear the mask, we're not going to serve you. We're not going to give you the goods and services. I mean, that's not good economically for the store, because they still need to make money somehow. So I don't know.
Well, I haven't been back to Menards since they required it.
Oh yeah.
It's just one of those things. I got other places I can go, and in fact, I'm supporting my local hardware store more than I ever have.
What are you buying there that you would get at Menards? Are they selling seeds? Just
pretty much. Our local Boone Hardware is selling marijuana. No, they're not. I buy my lithium batteries and stuff to make meth. Just kidding. Jeez.
I was listening to the radio yesterday, and this isn't the Fisher House. I was listening to a pastor call into actually Rush Limbaugh.
Really?
And he said how, the marijuana store, all the groceries can be open around the state, yet the churches are not. And it really hit home for me how it's really not about the lockdown. It's about preventing certain aspects of freedom to happen.
And I don't know about you. I do know about you, I believe. And I think you're like me. You can't, again, to suggest to somebody, be wise and don't live in fear. Don't you tell me not to live in fear. Then fine, live in fear. I don't care, but I'm not going to. Oh, it's even right now I'm getting all.
Now, but to your point about positive addiction, how did that rest of the Novak story go? Did people react to it? Or?
Oh, yes. And let me tell you, it's very humbling. Oh, and I got a rest of a story of that. I am so, I'm so excited. There's things happening because of that video that.
Are you going to have him on?
Huh? No, he continues to. I still think he's a bit of a showman, but that's okay. I really like what he's doing. I watched a video last night of he got baptized.
Oh wow!
He went under.
He went under.
He went under. He did. He went under.
Did you see the pastor squirting the baby with the gun, with the water gun, holy water gun?
No.
Yeah, from like 6 feet, they were like, "You are now baptized," and he's wearing a mask too. So imagine.
No, sir.
That is.
No, sir.
Yes, sir.
No, sir. That's hilarious. Baptism by squirt gun.
Yeah,
Let's keep everything safe. That's funny.
Well, I
Shoot.
mean, I kind of get it though because a baby's immune system is so fragile, so I guess they're worried about that. But it was just kind of funny to see, like.
Well, did we take this kind of precautionary moves when just maybe the flu bug was tooling around? Oh no, I remember working for US Cellular. It's like unless you were dead, you were supposed to be at work.
What was the one thing that they always said about the flu? Get the flu shot and you'll be fine. That was pretty much all they said.
Well, and yet it was kind of interesting. Like, well, you need to show up to work. Yeah, I call in and I tell them I've got to. Now I think people are using the COVID. Well, I know people are using the COVID as an excuse not to go to work, to be able to stay home. And I think you get paid unemployment. I think. I mean,
No,
it's a
and
mess.
they do, and then some just join the bandwagon of that and just say, COVID, I'm gonna quit and and then they'll say, I'll quit and say the reason I quit is because they can't pay me, so I'm gonna get unemployment type of thing.
Well, I mean, I'm somebody who could play the. Well, let me ask you this question: do you think I could pass as mentally disabled? Be careful.
No.
Oh,
I don't know
thank
you
you.
back then, but not right now.
Not right. I love that. That is a great. But the day's early.
The only question would be if you need to take meds to calm down. Do you have to take meds or you don't take meds at all?
I haven't for about 6 months now. I was talking to again my son last night, and he is delighted. He said, "Dad, it's like you're this different person." He's the one that explained the story about the ice cream, and I was just extreme. It's like, Dad, can you just let people believe what they want to believe and not look down your self-righteous nose at folks that I don't know. It was a great conversation. It was long overdue. It was neat.
Now this is that's gotta be pretty powerful. And I don't see you as looking down at somebody. Maybe I should listen to the show more. I don't know.
Oh, no. In the past, I said this to somebody, Jesus could even save somebody like you, Alex. It's like, what the hell does that mean? This is a self-righteous. That's just such a self-righteous statement. I didn't even realize how full of myself I was when I said it. It's just,
in other words, you learned from those kinds of things.
I am. It's like this. It's constant, and I'm loving being corrected by my heavenly Father, because a loving father is going to chastise their child, as the Bible says, and he will use my wife to help me get it. And I am just thrilled to. Reminds me of a song, "Bend me, shape me, any way you want me, long as you love me, it's all right."
Did you ever get slapped around for trying to evangelize and say Jesus will save you and stuff like that?
I enjoy being slapped. No, I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah. Sure. I was referred to one time as a long-haired Bible thumping Jesus freak. And I said, that's one of the nicest things anybody has said to me in a while. And it was a teacher from the high school. And I had a number of their students come in and do the job shadowing. Mm-hmm. And they got to do a little radio thing, live air stuff. And I loved it. And they loved it. And
it's interesting that your son is advising you, because I'm kind of helping my mother through certain things during the day, and then I realized how much I actually know about her life, that even when I wasn't really here through college and all that, I kind of picked up, because I just recounted everything she did the last 10 years. I'm like, I really did know what you were up to while I was in college. So that kind of felt cool.
Well, yeah. And I think maybe because my mama knows that I know about some stuff back in the day that she's not proud of, but I sure understand why she did the things she did. And
Mm.
I never, I never judged her for it. It was more like, I get it, Mom. I understand why you did that.
But for me, it was more like I'd see the career she was doing, and I was like very proud of her because she was so happy. She was doing things and making a living for all. I mean, it was amazing to see what she was able to do
Oh, I get you.
in
Yeah.
the weeks.
Well, and yeah, I get that one too. My mom never drove.
Hmm.
She went through all the stuff, had a driver's license, but she never drove. And so she walked to work. Yeah. I mean, she'd take off at 4 o'clock in the morning and walk miles. I mean, I'm not talking, a couple of blocks. I'm talking at least 2 miles, if not more.
And that would be in snow. That would be in rain. That would
No,
be,
no, she never did the rain snow thing, but
huh?
it could have been. She's my mother has never played the poor me, and I don't think that's where you were going with that.
No, no, no. What
No.
was Well, what was her role? What was her job?
She worked at a bakery in a local store.
Was retirement really hard for her? Like, was that the toughest?
Extremely. It was
Mm.
very hard for her not to. In fact, when she quit, this is true for me too. When she quit being out in the public,
Mm.
she went downhill. My mom is somebody who just I I don't know. I need people.
I was.
People. Sorry.
I know. I'm starting to feel. I am not ashamed to admit. I'm starting to feel a bit lonely now. Like at the end. So you do your work day. You do the whole radio thing, and then because everything's closed down, you have nothing to look forward to.
Guess what?
What?
I'm so excited. I got a message last night from the guy that runs Wilson's Tap. They're opening Thursday morning, and I'm going to go in and do Coke. It's $1 for refills.
I know. I got where you were going there.
I know you do. You know me. You know I'm not that kind of guy.
So. Now, do they still do the prayer stuff? Are they going to kick that back up when it opens again, or like the church
That
service?
really is kind of, well, it's not my call. And I start that? I don't know for sure what's going to happen. I just know that I love those folks and I love being there and I've made new friends and I don't think I have any new enemies. No, I think I'm pretty well accepted there.
Good. So maybe you can, because I reason I ask is I'm going to talk with someone on Sunday, who his name is Wayne Vanderwall. I don't know if you
Uh-huh.
know the name, but he's not an official pastor, but he does do pastoring at a local jail. He goes to the jails and helps the inmates find Jesus and talk about
When?
God.
You're doing that
Uh,
on Sunday?
well, I'm doing the interview on Sunday, but my point is he's been locked out of the jail because of the COVID crisis. So I'm going to talk to
Yeah.
him about what that looks like for him moving forward, if they're talking about going back in or not.
Yeah. It's and I still don't know. I don't know. I just see this. It's kind of like fear of the unknown, and heaven forbid we should, like I hugged two people that weren't family members. You going to turn me in 311?
Mm. I gave my dad a big hug yesterday. I felt very nice about that.
Wasn't it great?
We were just sitting down outside next to the memorial, just resting, listening to Rush, and listening to a few other things. So it was nice.
Wow,
And
that sounds great.
it was the first really time since mid-April I'd seen him, and also one of the first big trips he's taken since this whole thing started. So it was good to see him.
Yeah. Yep. Need to get over and see my mommy again.
Mm.
It's been really tough, and it is affecting people.
It is. I mean, suicides are starting to go up. That's the other thing about this. That
Yeah, I well, I won't talk about that one, but anyway, life is good. I think it still comes back to, um, you know, having hope, and
yes.
without hope.
On that note, what can we look forward to on Radio Hope, 9 a.m. Eastern? Positive Addiction by Dr. William Glosser.
I am addicted to life. That's the best way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
But lately though, like you, I've been kind of having a little bit of the blues, and it's kind of a time to look at what's the deal? What's going on, Mike? Why are you? And I think it's just this long period of not getting to engage. Now, yesterday it was a blast on 8th Street at the Elks Club. There
Right.
were a bunch of people there. It was so encouraging. And I think they did well. I bought 2 hot dogs and shared one with my son.
Ah, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Did I
And
answer your question?
does that make you feel like you're back in the older days where your kids are having a hot dog with you on Memorial Day, like when they're really, really, really young?
Yeah. In fact, it just reminded me of a picture of Daniel and Michael and myself. I'm bare chested with a pretty blue hat on by a tree, and we're just all smiling. We were camping at Okoboji.
On Memorial Day weekend or just a random weekend?
I just a random weekend. You know, I have to admit I'm not real big on specific
Days?
holidays, but that's kind of where the tradition. It's important to remember these days. I mean, that's why you really kind of got me yesterday. I wasn't. I don't even know how much I talked. Oh, the opening song was about.
I heard that. I heard that opening song, which was great.
And the rest was of the follow up to the dream seller, Brandon Novak. But anyway, hey, I do want to take time to thank you because you've gotten me inspired. I will do another short video.
Cool.
A pre-show video. And they're fun.
Do you have a Facebook page for the show, or is it just Mike Myers is where the show launches?
I have Radio Hope show page, Radio Hope Meditation and Medication, which I really have not done much with. It's just another place to post things on. And then and a Muck Radio page. Gosh, I got more than I thought. And my personal page.
Well, I gotta start tagging you because when I try and tag you on my show page, it doesn't register your name. I don't know why that is. Your Facebook page, personal page, so I don't know what that's about.
Really?
It goes from blue to like black. It just goes from linked to unlinked. So I don't know what that's about.
Interesting, huh?
But I'll find the Radio Hope show and tag you there because I think that should stay.
Yeah.
So
appreciate that.
Well, we'll be listening to you 9 a.m. Eastern. I know you want to start prepping, so we will. Unless you got a few minutes, I don't know what your timeline's like. But
I actually am good to go. I got a new CD. Actually, got the instant gratification MP3 download, and I'll get the physical CD today. But it's by a guy by the name of David Crowder.
Okay.
Oh my goodness, this has got some really pumping. I'm going to open with either Better Than Drugs by Skillet or Run Devil Run.
That's cool. You do all this. You spend a lot of money on the. Did you spend a lot of money on the CD or not really?
$12.
Are you? You don't have to answer this, but are you Are you collecting at least something because you're not doing the driving, or is the driving still sustaining you? Like, are they paying you?
Oh, amazingly, we still get paid.
That's awesome.
It is great. In fact, it's really interesting because my last check, which this is the 26th, which will hit our account on the 29th, both Laura and I, and it was like an extra $200. I did some training, and I think that finally caught up, and I finally got credit for that. So, we're 4 folks that we're doing well.
You're fortunate. You're very fortunate.
Very, very fortunate. And I would have understood. I would have been a little upset, but I would have understood if the school said, hey, this, is COVID an act of God? Boy, I don't think so. I think it's part of just being a fallen. Anyway, what am I trying to say? I would understand if the taxpayers said, well, he's not driving. Why should he get paid? I get it. And it is taxpayers' money, right?
It is. And I know that you don't. And I know that you don't necessarily like that people collect unemployment, but I think also it's good that we have that for the moment. But I think we both agree we can't rely on that for the long-term haul.
No, and it sounds like we're going to get another one. which really surprises me because of all the pork that's added onto it.
Yeah, and by the way, I realize what they mean by that whole thing. It's not even actual pork. I literally thought they stuck like pork in the. No, I thought it had something to do with like the pig production and stuff. I'm like, what are they doing at it? But I realized pork is just fattening up the bill to include a bunch of shit.
Yeah, with things that really don't, like I love the Postal Service. I have to admit, for what they do, rain, snow, wind, whatever. But I was talking to a guy on Sunday who delivered a package, and I said, I bet you get paid, whatever, time and a half, double. He said, well, tomorrow I think we get triple time. Holy smokes.
And I'd be okay with people getting paid during this time from the government, but I wouldn't be. I'm not okay, and I think this is where we see eye to eye. And people saying, "Oh, I can live like this forever." No, you can't, and no, you shouldn't live like this forever. I mean, this isn't ideal for anybody.
Well, it's nursing on the government teat, which is actually my. Sorry.
You, because you contribute to the taxes and stuff.
Right. It's all our, and I had made this comment to, actually, it was my son yesterday. And I said, the thing that bothers me most is you guys are get this. I said, you guys are getting stuck with a debt. And he said, no problem, Dad. You're welcome. What? What kind of statement is that?
I don't know. By the way,
it didn't make sense.
Before we part our ways this morning, Ed Delgado, gotta love that he's doing something different than the usual Caramel Conservative. He's got a DJ booth now set up on Spreaker.com, which I think is fun. He's doing Club Quarantine DJ. I think that's hilarious.
Oh wow, I haven't kept up with Ed there. That sounds like some happening stuff.
So I gotta see. He's at the Caramel Conservative. I gotta see what he's doing exactly. So, Michael,
do you know if he'll be on tonight?
I don't know. I haven't talked to him yet today. So
okay.
Possibly so. I don't know.
If so, 8 Central Daylight Time, the Caramel Conservative with Ed Delgado.
And then 8 a.m. Central Time, he's on 12 hours later than you are, which I think is kind of somewhat parallel there. I don't know. I guess there's like a parallel.
Oh, and real quick, and yeah, I'm kind of keeping you going here, but I revamped my 24/7 stream.
Oh, tell us.
And I was amazed at how quickly I got that done, and it worked. And anyway, so now I just have to do a little tweaking on my MikeMyers.org page.
Well, I'm very happy that the bus company is supplying you still. That's really good news, because you never know in this time.
It's specifically the Boone Community School District. Now, today, I think Laura's got a job. She's going to be calling a bunch of parents or something. So, and it's something that's volunteer.
See, and you're just correct. You're just giving us a different feel on school boards, because when people talk about school boards, they think, oh, it's political, it's heartless. You're giving us kind of a different angle to that with that statement.
Well, I will tell you what. There are some really, really neat people in our public school system here in Boone. They also have been feeding, I think, kids under the age of 18 during this whole thing, providing meals every weekday, and thousands of meals. It's just amazing. But I think it's cool what they're doing.
And do they deliver, or do the kids go to the school?
The kids go to various locations and pick
We're doing
up
that
meals.
Here in the city too, which I love. That New York
it's great.
Doing that.
It's fantastic. That's what we ought to be about.
And I also do agree with everybody on the planet that says we need to reopen the schools. These kids can't handle isolation much longer either.
It's not good. It's not healthy. Isolate. We are creatures designed for relationships. And
what do kids want? They want to play with other kids. That's their thing. That's the whole thing.
Kids just want to have fun. Okay.
Oh, Michael, I love it. I love it. Oh, and this is what I want to show you. I finally got this working.
I am so jealous.
And a friend of mine from upstate New York, who I'm having on today, late for air tomorrow, is he's the one that mailed me this, and I was like, "This is a surprise, but thank you."
So you found out?
Mm-hmm.
It is a cool device. I actually have. I don't know how many different, you can get that on your smartphone. I am so right now getting tuned in to growing in my faith, and it's hurt a little bit when you take a look at yourself and kind of go, "Ooh, do I do that? Yeah. Ooh, yuck, gross. Thanks for
My,
pointing it out."
my yardstick seems to be the daily verse that I look at through my app. And if it's so powerful, I feel like sharing it with the world because as I say, we can't hoard inspiration. We have to share it with everybody during this time, and that's why
I love that. We can't we can hoard it, but you're exactly right. We can't. Well, you can't, and I can't because that's what we. Hopefully, that's what we do. I mean,
We're
it's
the
not
givers.
a
We are
fine,
giving
die,
people.
go to hell.
We are giving people. We give people some sort of electricity. Like I just notice when I'm around people, like they sort of become
Energized.
Energized. Yeah, I don't know what I do. It just feels it.
It's catchy.
And I'm sure you do the same thing. And
the enthusiasm can be very catchy, and also vice versa.
And the question I'm now dealing with, maybe you are too, is how do we become also takers instead of just strictly givers?
Oh, and now, just a little bit of one there. You're exactly right, because if we're not, when I was talking to my eldest son last night, I said something about, Laura is my first concern, but as that was coming out, I also realized I need to love myself or I won't have anything to love her with. And I need to know how much I'm loved by God. And so it's this beautiful, it's back to giving God preeminence in everything. And he'll take care of the rest. And it's not about religion.
So do you think Laura's love is sort of like reflecting God's love or something to that?
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt. It's got to be. There's no doubt about it. He loves us even when we're unlovely.
Oh, that's so true. He walks with us every day, no matter where we are, and that's the powerful thing to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, Michael, I'll let you get to your pod and get ready for it, and we'll be listening 9 a.m. Eastern.
All righty. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother. Be well. And as for me, I might as well keep recording and put this on YouTube in a bit. So yesterday in New York, you might have been listening to some radio stations around the city, around the country, and you might have heard about the Fisher House Foundation. You might have heard a Fisher House Memorial Day special. And I had decided to actually listen to it for a few minutes. And those few minutes I listened to it were so inspiring, I thought I'd talk about them for a minute. In case you aren't familiar with the Fisher House Family Foundation, they're founded by Zachary Fisher and Elizabeth Fisher. Now, keep in mind, as someone in radio, I hear the Fisher House all the time because we would run specials on the New York stations and whatnot. But when you really hear it and hear the story, it's pretty incredible. Zachary was a native of Brooklyn, and he really wanted to, as a bricklayer, go into the service and to help out his country. Strong support of the U.S. Armed Services. But as a bricklayer, he suffered a leg injury which prevented him from actually going into active service. So what did he do? He assisted the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers in the construction of coastal fortifications. He became more involved with it to the point where in 1990, Zachary and Elizabeth, his wife Elizabeth Fisher, founded the Fisher House program, dedicating more than $20 million to the construction of comfort homes for families of hospitalized military personnel. Fisher Houses operated at military bases and Department of Veteran Affairs medical centers throughout the nation. More than 11,000 families are served by the Fisher House every year. And since the program's inception, more than 120,000 families have actually stayed in Fisher Houses, saving them an estimated $100 million in lodging and transportation costs. The Fisher House program continues today with over 40 houses open and more planned under construction. Now, a charity that I used to be very involved with, the Ronald McDonald House, was very much so an inspiration of Zachary and Elizabeth. Because what they had seen with the Ronald McDonald House was a place where they could care for the sick and sick kids is what the Ronald McDonald House does. Those kids suffering with cancer and other life-threatening illnesses, Ronald McDonald House keeps them comfortable, keeps them safe, works to get them healed. Much like, and so that's where the Fisher House idea came from. But as I was listening further, as you know, every year the Intrepid hosts Fleet Week, which unfortunately we didn't have this year in Midtown Manhattan. But the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum is possible because of the Fishers. They had seen the aircraft was, I guess, about to go to the scrapyard. I mean, this amazing ship, naval ship, going to the scrapyard. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine if the Fishers didn't step in and save the Intrepid? It would have been horrible. And yet, in 1982, after founding the Intrepid Museum in 1978, in 1982, the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum was open for the public. So it's because of their efforts, Zachary and Elizabeth Fisher, that we today can say we love, we are part of, the Intrepid is part of our city each and every year, beyond Memorial Day. And for them to not let it go to the scrapyard is beautiful in and of itself. So I just want to take the time, and by the way, in World War II, Elizabeth Fisher served in the USO, entertaining over 157,000 troops overseas with the Ziegfeld Follies. She also volunteered to visit American troops who were hospitalized and spent many hours at their bedside. She got involved with the Veteran Bedside Network, a support organization for injured veterans. Look, Memorial Day is a day we honor the troops, but I do feel like the minute the clock turns to the next day, it's back to business as usual. Well, it doesn't have to be. If you just perk up your ears a little more, if you perk up your minds a little more, you can see that every day veterans are being helped, treated, supported, one day at a time. By the way, thanks to Kenny Albert for sharing his story as not only a play-by-play man, but also of his family, his grandfathers who served in the wars. So if you want to find out more, go to intrepidmuseum.org. And if you want to find out more about the Fisher House itself, and they've also gotten involved with the Fallen Heroes Fund, which was established after Zachary Fisher's passing. If you want to know more about the Fisher House, go to fallenheroesfund.org. And you can donate and you can be part of it. You can help our veterans who, to this day, their battles don't stop after Memorial Day. Their battles don't stop after July the 4th. Their battles continue for our battles here in America. Or for our freedoms here in America. Their battles continue for us to be able to wake up in America with our own battles, sure. And the freedoms that they fight for allow us to wake up here in America and say, you know what? We're going to get this right today. But one final thought this Memorial Day. And I wrote this on my Facebook page, my personal. Memorial Day occurs because the brave men and women have never wanted to quarantine themselves in the time of battle. Those who need to, during this time, I applaud it for having that restraint. Those high risks that need to quarantine and not get themselves sick. But those who desperately want to get out but don't follow social distancing among strangers, Mike, you are an exception to this, but for millennials, for anybody else in the big city in New York, I mean, it's just foolish when I see people gathering in Central Park not abiding by social distance. That's foolishness because we're still a hot zone here. Thank God, though, deaths have been lowest they've been since this whole thing started. But to me, this day in this time is about as being as measured as we were when we stormed the beaches of Normandy. Today's heroes, our frontline heroes, are being measured in ways they take care of themselves and the sick, the doctors, the nurses, taking care of themselves and the sick. And if we just took the cues of them and those before us, we can definitely open back up with the freedoms fought for over the generations. We must not fear, but we also must be measured. Because our military isn't around today by being sloppy. In fact, I think we are the most measured country when it comes to the way we operate our military around the world. I know maybe sometimes the airstrikes have hit civilians, but under Trump, that's really not happened. It's amazing how measured he's been in airstrikes around the globe. But for the most part, our military has survived sequesters. They've survived people spitting at them for joining the army. They've survived. They've survived Vietnam, for example. They've survived efforts to try and strengthen and lessen, actually, the military presence. And yet here we are, 57,000 members of the Department of Defense nationwide fighting COVID alone. Can you imagine that? So they're fighting their battles every day. It doesn't just start on Memorial Day or end on Memorial Day. It's an ongoing battle. Like I'm sure all of us are dealing with ongoing battles in our lives. So let's not for a minute think that Memorial Day, July the 4th, Veterans Day are the only 3 days we can really honor the troops. We must honor them daily because they are keeping us as safe as they can, as free as they can, daily, even in the COVID crisis. I'm Alex Garrett. We'll talk to you tomorrow, and have a blessed rest of your Tuesday.